All right, our top focus on Newsnight. What does it take to get a US student visa these days? Good grades? A top university? Perhaps maybe even $100,000, that's approximately rupees 89 lakh scholarship. Apparently, all these factors are not enough. Several Indian students have reportedly had their US student visa applications denied. That's under the new social media screening rules. The Washington Post has reported, and the development has sparked concerns among applicants that's over freedom of expression and the transparency of the visa procedure. Students have reportedly said that their visas were rejected by the US Embassy in New Delhi, possibly because of their social media activity, which included posts highlighting hate crimes. Case in point, an Indian student named Kaushik Raj, who had secured a $100,000 scholarship to pursue a graduate degree in journalism at Columbia University, said that he had passed every stage of the application procedure but still faced rejection. According to Raj, he had completed all the visa formalities, including the interview, but he believes that the rejection was linked to his social media activity. According to Raj, the visa application took a lot of time. The US government had briefly stopped issuing student visas, and when it resumed, there were no appointment slots available. Speaking to Washington Post, Raj claimed that he was not very active on social media and refrained from posting or publicizing his personal feelings about global issues such as Israel's war in Gaza. However, he said that in 4 years of his journalistic career, he often focused on hate crimes, which was perhaps reflected in his social media activities. Well, let's decode this further, and for more on this, Shashi Tharoor has perhaps called the Trump administration's immigration crackdown the vanishing welcome and a world retreating from openness. Listen in to this exclusive take for NDTV 24/7.
Hello, I'm Shashi Tharoor, and you know, there was a time not so long ago when the image of the US was inseparable from the idea of immigration. The Statue of Liberty, torch aloft, stood not merely as a monument but as a promise. The tired, the poor, the huddled masses yearning to breathe free would find refuge and renewal on American shores. Well, that was in some ways part of the promise of America in the 20th century, but today it's no longer so solid, because there's a sentiment sweeping not just across America, but across the Western world, through political discourse, through public life, a hardening of not just the physical borders, but the psychological ones. Immigration is now increasingly cast in a negative light, not one of enriching a country. The US was once mythologized as a nation of immigrants. Now it finds its reputation for openness under strain. Europe, with its layered histories of colonial entanglement, post-war reconstruction, has tensions over asylum seekers, refugees, migrant labor, and the welcome is waning. And there's now a complete rejection, particularly what you might call visible immigrants, those whose skin color, dress, language, or religious practice mark them as other with a capital O. And so what you've got is the sense of difference being rejected: a Sikh turban, a hijab, a West African accent, a Latin American surname, a brown skin. These are all lightning rods for a deeper discomfort, one that speaks to people's protection of their identity, their sense of belonging, their fear of cultural difference and dilution. That's what my column is about today. It's a column that talks about the entire vanishing welcome, the way in which, in the famous thesis of David Goodhart, there is a battle between the somewheres and the anywheres, where the anywheres, mobile, educated, cosmopolitan, live in a borderless world, are comfortable anywhere, live the language of diversity, but the somewheres, who are rooted in one place, one religion, one language, one culture, they are feeling alienated by the advances of the anywheres, and the somewheres might be winning. They found their voice, and from Brexit to Trumpism, from the rise of nationalist parties across Western Europe to the open assaults on political correctness, the momentum has swung towards those who feel left behind by the influx of foreigners. So I just want to talk about all of this in my column, which I hope you'll read. The world should not, in my view, collapse into fear, but there's no doubt that it's retreating from the openness, the celebration of diversity, the welcome to immigrants that characterized much of the earlier decades.
All right, let's decode this further. Who is Kaushik Raj? What are the vetting procedures for international students if they want to apply for a visa in the United States of America? First up, let's tell you who is Kaushik Raj, 27-year-old journalist from New Delhi. And he was awarded a 100,000 scholarship to study at Columbia University. He was denied US visa despite completing all formalities here in New Delhi to secure the US visa. Moving on to the other aspects. Now, the official reason cited was perhaps lack of strong ties to India, which is what the embassy cited. The official letter which was given to Raj Kaushik stated that you have not demonstrated that you have ties that will compel you to return to your home country, that is India, after your travel to the United States of America. Well, this is what the letter stated, but what are Kaushik's belief? Kaushik believed that he did not secure a US visa because of the social media activity linked to hate crimes coverage. He again believes that journalistic posts scrutinized under US social media vetting rules, which are some of the reasons as to why he did not secure a US visa despite having a scholarship. Like I mentioned, what are the rules providing social media handles? That is for vetting if you want to apply for a US visa. Moving on to the other pointer, India saw 44.5% drop in student visas. These are the impact under Trump 2.0, and China has clearly overtaken India as the top source of international students' visas after the stringent US vetting procedures came into effect. The impact now here is in August this year, 313,000 visas were issued, which is a 19.1% drop from last year during the same month. And India especially saw 44.5% drop in student visas, which clearly led to China overtaking India as the top source of international students who are applying to study in the United States of America. And moving on to the other aspect here, now the increased visa rejection despite being accepted into prestigious colleges. These are some of the impacts which are on the Indian students here. Rejected for not proving that they have strong ties to their home country, and the global students right now might feel a chilling effect on their freedom of expression, which perhaps can lead to anxiety because lack of clear guidelines on what content is considered applicable or hostile can lead to anxiety. These are some of the factors which are in play for applying for a US visa for all the global students. Well, for more on this, we are now being joined by Dobrina M. Austin, immigration expert from Texas in the United States of America. Welcome to NDTV, ma'am. First up, what are the do's and don'ts that one should perhaps follow when applying for a US visa? Because there's a lot of confusion circulating around. Case in point, Mr. Raj Kaushik, who clearly secured a scholarship and still did not secure a US visa.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. So some of the don'ts, especially when it comes to the social media, I always advise clients don't erase your social media. So because that will also raise a red flag. If you've been posting, just continue business as usual. Don't deactivate your accounts. Don't erase posts. Because that will be viewed in a negative light. In terms of the social media vetting, it is a huge issue because it's so vague that nobody really knows what that officer is looking at. Basically, they were instructed to look for derogatory information or public posts that show hostile attitude towards U.S. citizens, culture, government, institutions, or founding principles. It sounds complicated and it sounds really vague because nobody really defined what is the hostile attitude or derogatory information. Also, they're instructed to look your entire online presence, so not only what you post necessarily, but also posts that you're tagged on or posts that you've shared. So with that, basically they have green light to, if they don't like what they see for whatever reason that could be, to deny that visa.
Right.
Another one.
Right. Please continue.
No, another point that I want to make is I think this has absolutely chilling effect on journalists like Mr. Kaushik Raj. I work with journalists that are trying to secure their immigration status in the United States. With this policy, if you're a journalist, obviously you're trained to question government authority. You're trained to report on human rights violations. Whether you agree with whatever points, whatever it is that you're posting, it's irrelevant because that's your job. So now you're telling me that the U.S. government will look into these posts and judge you based on what you post, but based on, that's your job, right? So in a sense, you also have that that basically journalists are being silenced, right? So as a journalist, that's your job to post.
Right, Ms. Houston, because the reason given to Mr. Kaushik was insufficient ties to home country. And he clearly, in an interview to Washington Post, he clearly stated that he had not made any post against America or any post regarding Israel's war in Gaza. He was only covering the news here in India and perhaps covered the hate crimes, according to him, which was one of the reasons why he wasn't given a US visa. Talk to us more about the impact of the stringent U.S. vetting procedures for U.S. visas for global students on the U.S. colleges itself.
The impact is significant. We are about to see drastic decrease in the number of a number of foreign students coming to the United States. Foreign students do pay full tuition. So if it's a state school, they will probably pay double or triple that state tuition. A lot of the programs at the U.S. universities, being private or public, are actually financed by the foreign students, by the tuition the foreign students pay. That will have direct negative impact, especially on the smaller colleges. So if you don't have enough international students to pay that tuition, we will see whole programs being scrapped. We will see staff, faculty being laid off. And ultimately, some universities, depending on the size of the university, they can close down as well. So I think it has a tremendous negative impact to the U.S. Education.
Right, Ms. Houston. Thank you so much for joining us here on NDTV from Texas.